Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. And today we are going to look at the final Mega Evolution or Primal Reversion of Primal Clash, and that's going to be Primal Kyogre EX. Now we've already taken a look at Primal Groudon, Mega Aggron, Mega Gardevoir, and I felt it's only fair that we take a look at a deck for Primal Kyogre EX as well. Now, overall, I feel like Primal Kyogre EX is the worst of the four Megas in this set. I think it's worse than Groudon even. I don't really like this card very much, but it does have the potential to be a pretty strong Pokemon, I suppose, so we'll take a look at it anyway. Of course, when you Primal Revert, you lose your turn, but we do have the Kyogre Spirit Link in order to take away that drawback. If you have this tool attached to Kyogre EX when you do the Primal Reversion, man, why did they have to call it that? Why couldn't it just be Mega Evolution? But yeah, you don't lose your turn. So that's a big part of why this card could be remotely playable. Alright, we also have Alpha Growth, this little box up here, the Ancient Trait. When you attach an energy card from your hand to this Pokemon, you may attach 2 energy cards. So basically, you get to attach twice a turn to Primal Kyogre EX. Again, a small thing that makes this card playable. Okay, now the attack is Tidal Storm. 150 damage for 4 energy, that's not bad. And then you get to move 2 energy from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon. And then it does 30 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon EX. Now that can add up really quickly, right? 150, 30 to all the bench Pokemon EX, that can add up to some, multiple knockouts. If we can, hit an active EX for 150 and one on the bench for 30. We can then Lysander one up off the bench and then do 150 to that one and finish off the one on the bench. You could get a 4-prize turn. Seems pretty reasonable. Alright, that would have to be the way that this card is played. I don't see it being an overwhelming powerhouse. Otherwise, Tidal Storm, and definitely need to play some switching effects. Being able to switch out your opponent's Pokemon to adequately take advantage of that bench damage. So that's it. We just have one attack, Tidal Storm. Nothing overly fancy, I guess. Just power him up and attack. Of course, you got to build a whole deck around it. Otherwise, you got to have some other cards in the deck, right? An important one will be Keldeo EX. Rush In is that great ability, allows you to just push your active out of the way. It says, make way for me. Put Keldeo in your active spot, and then use a Float Stone to give it free retreat. So you put a Float Stone on Keldeo, Rush In, retreat. This is a great way to give your deck some mobility, since, oh my goodness, a 4 retreat cost on Primal Kyogre EX. Oh goodness, 4 retreat on Kyogre EX, which doesn't have great attacks, by the way. Look at some other Pokemon we're playing in the deck. We got Kyurem, 3 retreat cost. This is a nice non-EX attacker, Frost Spear, and Blizzard Burn. Suicune, 2 retreat cost. Again, that Russian retreat going to be your best friend when playing a clunky, heavy retreat cost deck like this one. Of course, Suicune, great for that Safeguard ability, and Aurora Beam, a decent attack in its own right. So that's our main lineup here. The Primal Kyogre EX, Keldeo for the Russian retreat. Can also Secret Sword if you need to, but most of the time, Tidal Storm is just better. The non-EX is Kyurem and Suicune. Okay, we're also going to be playing one Manaphy. This is a card I like to try out in these kinds of decks. It's a high risk, high reward kind of a thing. Seafaring, you flip 3 coins for each heads. You can take a water energy from your discard pile and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you'd like. So, of course, if you flip 1 heads, you kind of just get back your attachment. So most of the time, Seafaring will at least do that. If you attach to Manaphy, flip 1 heads, you get an energy back. It's almost like attaching to one of your Pokemon. So you don't really lose a lot in that case. Now, let's say we flip 2 heads. That gets us an energy attachment for the turn. That's pretty cool. Say we flip 3 heads. Well, that's awesome. 3 energy back on 3 heads. It's not very likely, but the option is there. Now, 3 tails is miserable. Try not to flip 3 tails. I know you can't really control it, but it is awful when you flip 3 tails on Seafaring. You just waste your attachment. Ugh. Nothing worse than that. Now, Manaphy also has the ability Final Wish. when it's knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you can search your deck for any card and put it into your hand. So this makes it a great Pokemon to just kind of put up there when you can't attack quite yet. Maybe use Seafaring, that will at least pressure your opponent into attacking you. You know, they could just have a Lysander to go around you, but you know what, if they have to knock out Manaphy, Final Wish is awesome. So I always think it's worth playing a copy of that. It's not the best card in the world, but oh well. We also have one Jirachi EX. I feel like this card should be in almost every deck. Stellar Guidance, just too good for smoothing out your consistency. Not much needs to be said about that at this point. Now, Primal Kyogre EX has the unfortunate weakness of Grass, which means Virizion Genesect is a major problem. You know, it was the big problem with Primal Groudon as well, that big weakness that you can't do a whole lot about. And in this case, you know, you have two options. Number one is to just ignore Virizion Genesect and say, you know what, that's fine, I lose to a deck, whatever, we can't beat everything. And that's certainly a reasonable option. Sure, you'll lose badly to one deck, but if that means you'll do fine against everything else, then, well, who cares? You can take that loss. In this version, you could take the other route, which would be to run something like Victini EX. So, of course, Virizion Genesect entire deck is weak to fire, so Intensifying Burn allows you to hit those Pokemon EX for 100, times 2 when they're weak to fire. This is a commonly seen card in Seismitoad decks these days, since they have the same problem. They can't beat Virizion Genesect without Victini, so why not throw this guy in? You can also slap a victory piece on Victini, which allows you to use Intensifying Burn for free. Pretty nice. Now, Victini also has another benefit of having Turbo Energize. Can be another way of accelerating energy. Search your deck for 2 basic energy cards, attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. With the correct start, you know, you could, if you go second, and you open up with Victini EX, Turbo Energize, and then get the Primal Kyogre, use the Alpha Growth, attach 2 more energy, you could potentially get a turn to Tidal Storm. So keep that in mind, folks. You could pull that off. Alright. Of course, we are going to be running a couple Fire Energy in order to use that in case the Victory piece doesn't work out. We have 9 Water Energy and then 2 double colorless, again, kind of for Intensifying Burn in case Victory piece doesn't work out. Now, if we didn't want Victini, this would just be 4 more Water Energy. It would make your deck probably a little more consistent, but again, we're going to try to tackle that bad matchup. I don't even know if it works, but hey, it's worth trying out, I guess. So the rest of the cards we have in here, an interesting stadium card that came out is Rough Seas. Once during each player's turn, that player may heal 30 damage from each of his or her water and lightning Pokemon. So obviously this is going to work in your water decks. It's a great counter to Verbank City Gym, and it's a great way to heal damage. Now, unfortunately, this backfires horribly against other players who are using water and lightning Pokemon. It totally nullifies the effect of Tidal Storm. The 30 damage you've done just gets healed immediately. So if you're facing like a Seismitoad or a Manectric kind of a deck, this could backfire. It certainly can, but I'm not sure if there's a better stadium to run in this deck. Maybe just no stadium at all. I would love to play Silent Lab in here, but you rely so much on Keldio's Russian that you just kind of need something else. You can't shut off your basics abilities. So Rough Seas, it's what's in here right now. I don't love it, but it's here. Supporter cards, we got your standard 4 Juniper and 4 N, along with a couple of Lysander. We got a Chorus, we got a Skyla, we got a VS Seeker. We got 3 of these bad boys, so we can have some flexibility with our supporters. Teammates, a great way to search out some cards after your active has been knocked out. Just searching for 2 cards is pretty good. Imagine if your Manaphy got knocked out. Get the Final Wish for a card. Teammates for 2 more. Oh, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to be trying out an Archie's Ace in the Hole. This could be a great way to just put Primal Kyogre EX directly into play without having to go through the Primal Reversion stuff. Could be a way to pull that off. You could build a deck completely around using Archie's Ace in the Hole to get a turn 1 Primal Kyogre EX and then get 2 energy on it to be an extremely aggressive turn 2 attacking kind of deck. But it seems very inconsistent, and we already tried that out with Blastoise, so We're going to be doing the more conventional build in this version. Other trainers we have in the deck, just 3 Ultra Ball, 2 Dive Ball, great card to search for a water Pokemon at no cost. We have a couple, well, just 1 switching card, 1 Escape Rope. Again, with Tidal Storm, you like to have ways to push your opponent's active to the bench, so you can take advantage of that bench damage, along with the 2 Lysander. Those should be pretty good. 1 Professor's Letter to search out a couple energy. Great synergy with Alpha Growth. Grab 2 energy, play them right down. Energy Retrieval, same thing. Get 2 energy from the discard pile, put them into your hand. Basic energy only, but you get 2 water out of the discard, put them right down with that Alpha Growth Ancient trait. So there you have it, a Primal Kyogre EX deck. I really feel like this probably isn't the correct way to run it, but I did want to show off the cards, so it seemed like the best way to do it right now before, I've had a lot of time to test and really hammer out some things, some combos that might work. It seems like it's very difficult to find a good partner for Primal Kyogre EX. Maybe one will come in the future, I don't know. But for now, seems a little tough to play in my opinion. But let's jump into a game I played on Pokemon TCG Online and, see if we can get, Primal Kyogre in play and bring up a Tidal Storm. I don't know. So, my opponent's going to mulligan, and I see a Rough Seas and Water Energy, and, well, that's just not what I'd like to see. Rough Seas makes it so, well, definitely my opponent will be playing Water and Lightning or Lightning Pokemon, so pretty annoying, but oh well. And we do see a Seismitoad EX flip over in the active spot, so clearly Water Pokemon, which means healing off my Tidal Storm, which means this is going to be a long game probably. So I'll start off with the Dive Ball for Keldeo EX. I'd like to get that down with a Float Stone, just to give myself some mobility, some ways to retreat if possible. So we'll go ahead and drop that down. I have the Kyogre Spirit Link we can put down before any Head Ringer or anything like that. And I do have the Primal Kyogre in hand, but next turn I'll only be able to play 1 energy. DCE can get Enhance Hammered, so I'm just going to dump my hand and, again, try to find a Float Stone to put down, but nope, did not find it right here. Instead, going to drop down another Kyogre EX, and it looks like I'll just have to pass the turn in this situation. So I dropped the VS Seeker before my opponent could use Quaking Punch. Seemed to make sense. You want to get rid of those item cards while you can, and I wouldn't have had a supporter next turn if my opponent did use Quaking Punch, so that's annoying. And oh no, the Rough Seas. Alright, well that's going to help both of us. It's probably going to make for a very excruciating game. I feel like both of us are going to benefit from that greatly, and it's just going to make it tough for either side to get knockouts. Makes me feel like I should maybe play another stadium too, not just the Rough Seas, since it does hurt me in some ways. I don't know. I just can't find a good stadium for this. So I'm going to drop the 2 energy after the Primal Reversion, drop a couple more tools down on the field. Let's rush in and then retreat into the Kyogre EX that doesn't have all the energy, just so we don't have to take a hit on that one. And we'll pass. The best you're really going to hope for is a turn 3 Tidal Storm in this deck. It should come about pretty often. You just got to hope that that's powerful enough to carry you through a game. Once you get 1 Primal Kyogre going, you start using the Tidal Storm, start moving some energy around, it gets a little bit better. So we'll see what happens. Manectric EX coming into the active spot after we see, looks like a Float Stone on my opponent's side. That's what caused this to happen. And the Assault Laser, 120 damage. A little unfortunate, but oh well. So here, let's see. I can definitely do the Primal Reversion, get the Primal Kyogre EX into play. I'm going to go with the Stellar Guidance right here, and I can grab a supporter card. I could easily just bench these 2 Pokemon, so Colress might be fine for 7. That way I get to keep the teammates and the Retrieval in my deck. Might not be a bad idea. So we'll go ahead and bench the Kyogre EX. Primal Reversion. Can even bench the Manaphy, put it down, and Colress for 7. We just need 1 energy here, and even better, got 2 of them. So we'll go ahead and attach. Might as well do the second attachment as well to give myself easier access to a Tidal Storm next turn. Use the Rough Seas my opponent has provided, rush in, retreat, and we can go with a big old Tidal Storm. 150 damage to the Manectric EX, then we can move 2 energy to the bench. I'm going to pick the water and the fire. And then 30 to those 2 benched Seismitoad EX. Unfortunately, Rough Seas is going to negate that, and this is a spot where I definitely wish Rough Seas was not in play. Again, stadium cards are becoming more and more important. You know, they have been for a while. Burbank City Gym has been huge for how long now? Silent Lab's just going to make that even bigger. Rough Seas, another one that's going to be pretty big. Fighting Stadium. So, you know, stadium cards are becoming increasingly important. Just make sure you have them, folks. Because sometimes the game comes down to whose stadium stays out there last. So now my opponent is in a bit of a pickle himself. You know, he can attack, but then, I mean, like, what attack does he use? If he uses Assault Laser or even Mega Evolves and use Turbo Bolt, he gets knocked out by a Tidal Storm, and that's not really a great position to be in. Quaking Punch, not going to do a whole lot, right? I mean, can hit me, and then I'll just heal 30 of that 50 away. But it looks like Quaking Punch is my opponent's choice in this situation. And I don't have an energy just yet. This is kind of a downside of Tidal Storm. I really wish it was optional to move the energy away from your active. I think that would make the attack so much better. Just a small thing that makes Primal Kyogre a little more difficult to use, but oh well. So we got a couple energy off of that N. I'm definitely going to slap a couple down onto the active in this situation. Yes, we can put the 2 energy down after using the Rough Seas, healing off the damage. And there's Tidal Storm. Can certainly move 2 water energy back to the bench Primal Kyogre EX. So you can see now, you're just kind of rotating between these. And you can see why Keldeo EX is so important. Just having the ability to rush in and retreat. We're kind of reaching an awkward stage, though, where I almost have too much energy in play, and you don't really know where to put it. Once Primal Kyogre starts to get in danger of being knocked out, it's kind of awkward. You know, where do you move the energy? Do you put 5 energy on one of the Primal Kyogre? Do you move 2 to a Keldeo? I mean, Keldeo's not that great. Would need 5 energy just to do the 150 that the Primal Kyogre does for 4. So it's kind of awkward here. I don't know. The Rough Seas is definitely making a big difference, just making all these numbers that much more awkward. We do see a Max Potion on the benched Manectric EX, so Mega Manectric is coming up. And I don't know, I guess use Rough Seas again. That's going to heal me off a little bit more. We got a 30 damage Primal Kyogre on the bench, a 40 damage one in the active spot, and it just seems like, well, my opponent's really struggling to get enough damage to get one-hit knockouts and stuff like that. That's a major concern for my opponent's deck, right? I mean, Quaking Punch doesn't do a whole lot. Turbo Bolt does a decent amount of damage, but even 110 twice against a Primal Kyogre isn't a knockout, especially with the Rough Seas. You could power up for the Black Ballista on Black Kyurem EX, but that doesn't seem like a great option at the moment. So it's, what do you do? I don't know the answer to that. And again, we're stuck in this awkward spot where I don't know where to put the energy. I mean, there's 4 on the active. I suppose I'll go ahead and attach to the benched Primal Kyogre EX, and we'll go with another Tidal Storm. It's going to be a knockout, and we were forced to move 2 energy back to a benched Pokemon. I guess I'll just put 6 on the benched Primal Kyogre EX. I don't really anticipate it being knocked out. 6 energy. I mean, even a Mewtwo EX with a double colorless and a Muscle Band doesn't even knock that out, so feel pretty safe. 240 HP is a lot. Having 200 left, still a lot. So if there's anything that Primal Kyogre has going for it, it is the HP. It's ridiculous. You might even want to tailor this kind of a build to more of maybe more of a healing-based deck, right? You could do some Pokemon Center Ladies, some potions, maybe even that Dusknoir that allows you to move the damage to itself. There are all sorts of options here. It just, I don't know. It's a confusing Pokemon to try to use. That's probably the best way I could put it. It seems like it has potential. It's one of those cards that really seems like, oh, this should be good. I just don't know how to use it. So here we go, another Tidal Storm. I could Lysander here and bring up the Black Kyogre EX, but it is no threat at the moment. I'm just going to hit the active Mega Manectric for 150, so we can at least soften that up for a knockout. And it feels like eventually I should just be able to win just using Tidal Storm. Eventually we should be able to finish off that Black Kyogre EX on the bench. That can't get healed by Rough Seas. It's a Dragon-type Pokemon. It is not a Water or Lightning type. So at least I have that going for me. And there's a Turbo Bolt. Going to hit for 110. And looks like it will be my turn. So I can certainly knock out the active. That's no problem. It seems like the best option here. Just take out the active. Do I want to attack with maybe the benched Primal Kyogre EX? I don't know. We'll drop down the victory piece on the Drachi since I do not anticipate using Victini at this point, and may as well get it out of my hand and also block my opponent from being able to play an otherwise useless Headringer. So now the question is, where do we put our energy? I'm going to go with Keldeo EX in this situation. I have the bench Primal Kyogre already all powered up. And I'm going to go with the Tidal Storm, knock out the active, do 30 to both bench Pokemon. We'll get 4 energy on Keldeo, 4 energy on Primal Kyogre EX. We have all sorts of good stuff going on right here. Looks like Seismitoad will come out with a Grenade Hammer. That could be a knockout here with the Muscle Band. That's 150 damage. Opponent's going to play an N, trying to take away the Lysander he knows is in my hand. But as you can see, the Lysander comes back into my hand off of that N to 2. See the Grenade Hammer? My opponent was fortunate enough to get 2 bench Pokemon, so he didn't have to damage that Black Kyogre EX and walk right into the Tidal Storm. But we got the Lysander anyway, and there is the Tidal Storm. Goodbye, Black Kyogre EX. I feel like even if I didn't draw the Lysander there, I was in great shape. I have a powered up, no damage Primal Kyogre EX, a Keldeo that's about to have a bunch of energy, and yeah, you can just see, decks that don't do a ton of damage, like my opponents in this situation. I mean, against the Rough Seas, it is what it says. It is rough. So maybe there's some hope for Primal Kyogre. I don't know. I wish I could answer that question, but until we find out, gotta keep trying it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.